All right, the man calls himself America's toughest sheriff. Will he become America's toughest senator? 24 years ago, Republican Joe Arpaio was the top cop in Arizona's Maricopa County and became famous, some would say infamous, for his harshness. Troubling set of facts. He ran an outdoor jail called Tent City. Arpaio himself described it as a concentration camp. Inmates lived year-round, exposed to the scorching heat of Phoenix summers, near freezing chill in the winter. They wore pink underwear, they ate green-colored bologna, allegedly, but that was nothing. Under Arpaio, there were also chain gangs for men and women, conditions that rights groups called inhumane, overcrowded, and dangerous. Remember, this was a jail, not a maximum security prison. It resulted in multiple lawsuits and a lot of death, especially by suicide. So he was a huge fan of racial profiling. And when a judge finally ordered Arpaio to stop the practice, he refused as a matter of principle, he said. And he was convicted of criminal contempt. That's when President Trump came to his rescue. Before Arpaio served any jail time, he got a pardon. It was the first for the president who supported Trump's campaign. He's now 85 years old, and he's in the race for the seat of Senator Jeff Flake, the Trump nemesis, who announced he won't be seeking re-election. And he joins us now to make the case to you. Sheriff Joe, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Chris, I think it's been years since we last met, that you interviewed me, if I recall.
That's true. You look the same. I look a lot older.
Well, it's the Italian olive oil for me.
Well, I'm going to have to up the dose. Let me ask you something, Sheriff. You've had such a long run. You've had so much controversy here at the end. You've got your health, but you've got your age as well. Why take this on? Why not just take the pardon? You lost your last race for sheriff to a Democrat in an all-Republican county. Why do this?
Well, first of all, I disagree with your opening remarks. I'm not going to spend time justifying the Tent City and everything else you said. But the question is, why am I doing this? Well, I'll tell you. First of all, I'm a big supporter of the president from day one, July 2015. I endorsed him. I introduced him, and I said he would be the next president. I guess I was right on that. So I have a great respect for the president. And between you and I don't like what's going on with certain people going after him. He's done a great job. And I want to do something to help him and help the people of Arizona. So I've had a long career, 60 years serving my country, 56 years in law enforcement. Joined the Army when the Korean War started.
Right.
Was a cop in D.C. I can go on and on, but one thing that people don't understand, I was a regional director in Mexico City with the U.S. Drug Enforcement, covered Latin America, was head of the DEA in Turkey, covered that area.
I get the pedigree, Sheriff. But you've been in the business a long time. You went out in some ignominious circumstances, and now you're asking the people to give you another chance. I mean, have you changed? Do you no longer believe in profiling Latinos and stopping them just because of the color of their skin? Do you believe in no longer herding people together and putting them in bad conditions?
That is wrong. That is wrong.
You were convicted of it.
My guys do not raise, no, convicted by a judge,
right?
No jury, who was very biased. I'm not going to go into his history. One day it's going to come out very soon.
You were told to stop a discriminatory practice, and you refused, Joe, and you got convicted of contempt.
We did not refuse. No. We had the authority to do it by the federal government. They swore in all my deputies to be immigration officers, and we were doing our job in that period. Evidently, the judge did not agree with it, even though the federal government laid the guidelines how we would do it. But that's one issue. Then he turns it over to another judge for contempt of court.
Right.
Now that judge refused to give me a jury trial. One day before early voting, Obama's Department of Justice, Holder and Loretta Lynch, said they're going to charge me on a misdemeanor a misdemeanor, contempt of court, get the same time as barking dogs, and then during the election, they charged me.
Why didn't you just
You
stop
don't do
stopping
that. You
people
don't
because they were Mexican?
We never stopped people because they were Mexican. We stopped people because they were committing a crime.
There was an
and then they happened
established
to be here
pattern
illegally.
of your pulling people over because they were Latino. That's how you got in court in the first place, Sheriff.
No. That's what the judge
That's what the prosecutor
decided,
said. That's what the prosecutors said. They brought the case. This judge didn't just come knock on your door and tell you you were guilty. There was a prosecution involved because of a pattern of conduct. Now, either you believe in that kind of stuff, and that's what you want to represent yourself as to the voters in Arizona, or you don't. Which is it?
Well, I'm telling you, you're bringing that up, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I'm telling you again, we're not guilty of that contempt of court, and that's why the president realized that and gave me a pardon, and I never asked for it. So when you got a judge is not going to go against her fellow judge on a contempt of court, and everybody in the courtroom knew that I was not guilty.
Except the prosecutor and the judges.
Well, right. Well, what do you mean the prosecutor?
Somebody brought the case,
the
right?
Obama No. Everybody in that courtroom knew that I'm not going to say the fix was in, but it was predetermined that I would be found guilty of a contempt of court. So we're appealing that, and we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you something.
You want to go on to something else?
Let's look at it a different way. You're kind of reintroducing yourself to the voters there. Is there any regret that you hold in your heart for the conditions that people were kept in, the nature of immigration enforcement, the birtherism claims about President Obama, things that are black marks on your record? Do you have any regret? Do you have any change on any of those?
Well, you know, Frank Sinatra says in my way, regrets. I've had a few, too few to mention, and I'll repeat that to you. But no, I have no regrets. We did the right thing. My people did the right thing. We were very successful throughout my 24-year tenure, the longest serving sheriff in the history of Maricopa County. No, I don't have regrets. A few mistakes, yes. Everybody makes mistakes.
Was the birtherism a mistake?
When you have a... Oh, now you're bringing that up.
Well, why wouldn't I?
I'm going to tell you something.
Do you think it doesn't matter?
You
want to be a U.S. senator and you were part of a campaign to delegitimize a president of the United States? Matters, no?
No. I started this because of fake document, a government document. I didn't care where the president came from. I didn't care at all. And we have the evidence. Nobody will talk about it. Nobody will look at it. And anytime you want to come down, or anybody will be glad to show you the evidence. And by the way, you're going to hear more about this fake,
so you believe that
birth certificate.
President Obama's birth certificate is a phony?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. We have the evidence. I'm not going to go into all the details.
You know, even Donald Trump now says
that
he believes that the president was born in this country, right?
He never said about a fake birth certificate. That's the only thing I was trying to prove. He never said
if he had a fake birth certificate
was a
then
fake.
he wouldn't be legitimately born in this country, Sheriff. It takes us to the same place. It doesn't matter whether you want to talk about a forged instrument or anything else that was fraudulent. Either the man was born in this country or he wasn't. The good news is we know the answer. He was. But if you want to be a U.S. senator, don't you think that people should have confidence in your judgment on something as crucial as that?
Well, this has been going on for quite a while, and I've been reelected, by the way, when all this was going on.
So you also lost an election.
But that was the last election, and I'm not going to get into the Soros pumping $3 million with the Department of Justice announcing the day before voting. So the fix was in, emanating from Obama and Holder when they opened the investigation 60 days after they took office, Chris, and it's 8 years till they finally got me on a contempt of court. So evidently it took them 8 years to get this sheriff.
Well,
but that's okay.
Let me ask you something. You say you want to help the president. He's already backed Dr. Ward, who's running on the conservative line there as a Republican.
He did not. He did not. He did not. He did not endorse her.
Well, he came out in support of her. But my question is this.
Steve Bannon is the one that endorsed her.
My question is this. If the president
Doesn't
were to
matter.
say to you, hey, do me a favor, get out of this race. We already have somebody that they want. I don't want this to be ugly. Would you do it?
Yeah. I don't think he'll ever say that. I don't think he'll ever say that.
You think he'll endorse you?
So I'm not going to. I don't know. And you know what? I never asked for endorsement. Everybody wants my endorsement. Every time presidential elections come up, everyone calls me for their endorsement, and governors and everything else. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Well, we'll see soon enough. If you enter the primary, the people will vote, and we'll have a decision. And I appreciate you coming on this show.
Never lost a Republican primary, so I'm not expecting you lose this one, Chris.
All right, we will see what happens. Joe Arpaio, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate your openness to being tested.
Thank you.
All right. Up
Thank
next,
you.
we'll have